Tonight I'm going to do a little update on my Bushmans, my homemade Bushmans knife. As you can see, I've gotten a little bit done to it. I've gotten a little bit of my tapered edge done. And also I got my hole drilled for my lanyard. And tonight I don't have a forge, and I need to find a way to harden the steel. So instead of a forge, I'm going to try to use my wood stove to harden the steel. From the way I understand it, I've never done this before, but the way I understand is you heat this up in a fire until it gets good and cherry red. Then once it gets good and cherry red, you want to take a magnet and make sure that the magnet won't stick to it. And once the magnet won't stick to it and there's no pull on the magnet, then you know it's ready to be quenched. And for this I'm going to use vegetable oil. So I'm going to put this in my wood stove, and I'm going to see if I can get this thing cherry red. I've got some nice oak boards that I'm going to use for fuel, and then after I get it nice and cherry red, I'm going to go ahead and pull it out with a pair of pliers, and I'm going to dip it in some vegetable oil, and this will harden the steel. Then after I harden the steel, I'm going to take and put it in the oven on between 350 and 400 degrees for about 2 hours. Leave it in there, and I'm going to let it cool down completely inside the oven before I ever take it out, and that'll help temper the steel so it won't be so brittle. So let's get this thing in my wood stove, and we'll see if we can harden steel using my wood stove instead of a forge. But like I said, this is a quick update on my Bushman's knife. I haven't got a whole lot done to it. I've done a lot of sanding. Like I said, I've gotten my beveled edge worked down pretty good. I didn't sharpen it completely the way I want it, because I still have to heat treat it and harden the steel, and then temper it. So I'm going to wait till after I do that before I put my final edge on my Bushman's knife. Okay, I've been slowly building up my fire. I've got some nice cut off oak boards, so I know oak usually gives me some pretty good hot coals. So as you can see, there's some pretty hot coals. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and set my knife on top, and I'm going to see if I can turn this. As you can see, when I open the door, it picks up the flame. So I'm going to go ahead and, wow, that's hot. Whew. Yeah, that's hot. I think I'm just going to set it on top for a little while. Yowzers. Okay, I'm gonna a little different approach. Okay. Kinda hard doing all this at one time. Battling the heat and trying to get it on videotape for y'all. Okay, so I've got my knife engulfed in flames right now, and I'll come right back to you when this thing starts to heat up a little bit. Well, it's been in there cooking for about 10 or 15 minutes now, and it's not cherry red yet, not that I can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the door, and I'm going to stoke up these coals a little bit and see if this makes a difference, because I know on some of the videos that I've seen, they usually have like a air forced forge, and seems how like I said, it's my first time doing this. I'm not sure if this exactly will work in the wood stove, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. But I know when I crack the door open, it adds a whole lot more fuel to the fire. And I know it seems to pick up pretty good when I do that, so I'm gonna leave the door open for a little bit, and we'll see if we can get this thing glowing. Well, as you can see, it's burnt down to a pretty good bed of coals here. It's not glowing yet, but I know she's awful warm. Like I said, I don't know for sure that this is gonna work, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. And I'm playing it safe. I went out to the garage and got my glove and my Kevlar sleeves, and I turned out the lights just a little bit ago, and it does look like it's starting to glow a little bit when I moved it around in the coals. It's not glowing red or nothing, but I can tell it's starting to heat up pretty good. Okay, as you can see, I had to stoke up the fire a little bit more. I put a couple logs on, or a couple little oak blocks on top of the knife blade. But as you can see down in there, she is nice and red. So now's the moment that we've been waiting for. We're gonna take this out, and we're gonna run outside real quick where I've got a pan of vegetable oil waiting, and we're gonna get this bad boy quenched. Oh, and by the way, I've had a couple people leave comments saying that when you make a knife, that you've got to come up with a name for it, and the name I have chosen for my new Bushman's knife that I made is Henry. So let's get Henry out of the coals and get her quenched. Everybody that I've seen doing this has used forges. Ooh, look at that, nice and cherry red. And I don't have a forge, so I'm making do with what I've got. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, that's hot. Alright, let's see here. Here we go. Let's go outside. Yeah, you can see that it's glowing. There we go. I was surprised it didn't catch on fire. She's still bubbling now. Did you shut that? Okay. The only thing that I did different from what else I've seen people do is I've seen a lot of people go ahead and preheat their oil, but in my situation right now I don't have that option, so I'm gonna let this cool off a little bit in here, and then I'm gonna dig it out, and I'll get back to you. Take a look and see what it looks like. And there you have it. This is how it turned out after I let it cool off for a little bit in the in vegetable oil. And my blade is now hardened. As you can see right here, I took quite a few swipes with file right here, just to make sure. From what I was told, you know that it's good and hardened when you run the file across the blade and it slides off kind of like glass, but it knocked off a little bit of the black here. So my next step is to take and put it in the oven, and I'm going to bake this on probably 400 for about an hour and a half to about 2 hours, and then that should temper my blade. And after that, the only thing I'll lack is making my handle right here, and then Henry will be ready to use. I wasn't for sure that it was going to work using my wood stove, but I kind of figured if I got a good enough bed of coals, considering I was using oak boards, that I was kind of hoping that it would work, and it did. She turned cherry red, and Henry is now hardened. Of course, I'll have to clean up the blade a bit after I get done baking it, but with me using the vegetable oil, it smelled kind of like cooking french fries when I dropped this in there. It smelled kind of good. Made me hungry. Well, thank you all for joining me this evening, and thank you for watching my update on Henry. I'd just like to remind everybody to cherish your friends and your family, because what you have today might not be here tomorrow. Y'all take care, be safe, and God bless. Thanks for watching.